Hi YouTube, Joe Green 1990 here to do a review and live reaction of Chapter 1086, The Five Elder Planets of One Piece. This is the last One Piece chapter before a month and a half break, which One Piece should be back, I think, July 10th. Oda is taking a break to get some eye surgery done. So without further ado, One Piece, we have another cover page. We have the crew jumping around, Luffy, or kind of Pawn and Luffy jumping around. We have it. So the curtains drew closed on the reverie. Before the news of King Cobra's murder came to light. This is Princess Vivi Basta. Hasn't anyone seen her? Where is the king? Has his condition worsened? So you have essentially people of Arabasta looking for their king and queen. All the while, a number of stowaways held their breath as they attempted escape on various royal vessels. Hey, whose ship is this? The Aegis Kingdoms. We're on Aegis ship, Morgan's. Gotcha! We'll fly our headquarters over and pretend to look for a scoop. Use that chance to hop board and don't get yourselves caught before then. I owe you one. You got that right. King somehow becomes the subject of manhunt. This is big news. I can't wait to hear all about it. So what exactly did you see in there, Wapple? Like I tell you, leave me alone and go back to your own ship. It can't be. It can't. CP0 is no joke. Now they're after me, I won't matter how much everyone tries to help. Those agents won't resist till I'm back in their custody. Now let me borrow your transporter stone. You talk to my father as soon as possible. Still the word. Anything but that. Get lost already. What's wrong with you? He knows. He's dead. And you have essentially several agents here looking for Vivi and Sabo. And then you have Bonnie and the Tajin Kingdom ship. And then you have Sabo and the Lucia Kingdom ship, the Bold section. Just make it to Lucia. I know I can figure something out. I'm counting on you, Sabo-kun. You must live on. It didn't take long for the two key stories to spread across the globe. Murder King Arabasta and the disappearance of his daughter, Princess Vivi. The Holy Land of Mary Joyce, the man they call Sabo. Seems to have a checkered fate. How else can you account for him constantly being surrounded by those who have bear the letter D? I was hoping we would be able to the see the egghead issue now, but it seems that dealing with this complication will have to take priority. Ring ring, yes, great Imu. Pangea Castle Flower Room. The time has come to put Vegapunk's invention to the test. Use the mother flame. So, a lot of people predicted that whatever took out Lucia was a weapon that Vegapunk essentially created. He probably didn't want it as a weapon, but then essentially the world government manipulated it and turned it into a weapon. And this is exactly kind of what it feels like it's being confirmed. It is true we haven't had the chance to try it before, so there is no way to ascertain its effectiveness. Depending on how well the experiment goes, Egghead may reconsider its response. I think a forest area would be a more suitable testing ground than a sea-based target, the Lucia Kingdom. Quite a lot of people live there. That is of no consequence. Understood. The world moves at the will of the Creator. What is the reason for the Lucia section? Its close proximity. It shall be as you say. And then we have literally the five elders, and we have their names, which is Defense Science, we have Environmental Warrior God, we have Justice Warrior, we have Finance Warrior God, we have Agriculture Warrior God. So we've literally got St. J. Garcia, St. Marcus, Mars, St. Topman, Valkyrie, Ethan, Baron, Nasidro, Chapard, Peter. I like that we actually finally get names for all of these guys because a lot of people call all these guys different names like, hey, the guy with the sword, Sanji's dad, that kind of thing. So finally we get some names. One more thing first. Retrieve Vivi. There's a lot of flipping back and forth. That bothers me just because I feel like it goes better. So yes, there's not a lot staying there, but still the fact that we're jumping little panels. Meanwhile, Kingdom of Terjin and the Aegis ships, kingdoms are rebelling between the spanning of the seven worlds, which to me makes sense because these are literally ships that the other people were on. And the uprisings in government-affiliated nations, the Navy has their hands full. However, deployed from Crocodile spotted on empty Bluffs Island. The military power had already gone in a new direction. The second we docked at Lucia, the people arrested King Seku and Prince's Comain. They were just waiting to ambush the royals. Since I was a stowaway, they welcomed me with open arms. That's when I saw the papers and found out they pinned King Cobra's murder on me. Unsurprisingly, the people there considered me a hero. I wanted to tell the truth, but when I saw how the lie fanned the flames of rebellion within them, the words died in my mouth. Betty and the others had already spiraled a lot of them, and I ended up bringing many of those hopeful recruits back with me. Couldn't make direct contact with an encryption cell, so I routed my call through the island while we were setting sail. I knew the government would intercept the signal, but doing it like that was sure to fool them into thinking I was still on Lucia. However, I was just within range, having already set out to sea with our new enlistees. So Lucia is actually really close to the Kamaka Kingdom. So the annihilation of Lucia really did happen during that call. Yeah, everyone on board was hysterical. A lot of them had family on the island. They saw the country obliterated in front of their eyes. I like how they're putting context. Like it mattered because people lost their family. Despicable. How in the world did they do it? An enormous shadow seemed to engulf the sky above us, and the next moment everything was gone. An enormous shadow, dragging and sweating. There's no way it was caused by a living thing or supernatural. Something pitch black was flamed with clouds. Sabo, earlier you said they used the name Imu. So now I feel like we're going to get a lot of what people suspected about Imu. Right, this may be a lot out there, but when the world we know today was created 100 years ago, one of the first 20 sovereigns was Saint Imu of the house Nerona. So Imu Nerona. Now look at this. Since we know an ability get eternal youth is to be exist, that must mean someone has used it before, which means there is a person out there that doesn't need to worry about death. So you think that one is on? Yes. It could be coincidence. Maybe they just shit on the name, but could anyone else but a founder command the 5 elder planets, the highest of world nobles? The celestial dragons fancy themselves descendants of gods, after all. One more thing. Assuming the object still both laws, whose weapon they by the government, and the only one capable of such a thing would be Vegapunk. Hold it, you know, Ava. Vegapunk would never intentionally design a dedicated kill machine. I love how Dragon is defending Vegapunk. I know. So what if it was an ancient weapon? Assuming Imo has been living since ancient times, there is a connection. Robin told us the ancient weapons do in fact exist, but if this person had such a weapon, why would turn out to use it? Present day. So this was exciting and nervous for me because the God Knights have been mentioned. It was only now we foolingly got to see one of them. Present day, the Holy Land of Marijois. A celestial dragon has just been sentenced to death. Our food supply is gone. We have no bread. All we have is cake. However, this information will never be reported to the outside world. The judge was the former king of the land known as God Valley. That's interesting to me. Essentially, this is a noble who was in God Valley. He currently serves as the supreme commander of God's Knights, which this, I think, is the person people thought looked like Shanks. So I think this could either be Shanks' dad or it could be someone related to him. His name is Saint Garland Figureland, and I feel like we've heard the name Figureland before. The man he sentenced to execution was none other than one who chose to defend fishermen, Saint Donkuto Muscat. Anyone who protects scum is lower than the scum they protect. A man who can even judge the celestial dragons. So, wonderful chapter. My ratings feel probably going to be a little lower than you expect just because of pacing. I still think story and character are going to be top notch. Pacing, there's a little concern for me. So we start off essentially with right off the bat. Essentially, we have the Alabastans looking for Vivi and King Cobra. See, that right there could be two different. I think that's two, and then you have essentially Vivi and Wapple. Then you have Morgan's. Back to Wapple. Back to the picture. I'm looking for them. Bonnie, Sabo, Murderous, 9. Kumbaka, 10. And then the very end, 11. So there's 11 parts. If you get rid of and you consider the first part with them looking for Vivian, right? Then you consider that's one. Wapple, Morgan's, Vivian stuff, still consider that. No, there's 11 parts, and that's what worries me. So if we, to me, the juiciest parts, however, is Mary Joyce, Kalmavaka Kingdom, and the Holy Knights. So three big parts, and right after the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So we essentially have 8 little parts, and then we have the last 3 meaty. So if you got rid of all those little 8 parts, or if you put them more into 1 or 2, or like, I would say even 3, it would be better. Because once we skip past that, not bad. So I'm going to give it a 3. The 3 parts are really good, but all that 8 before it just feels crunched. Some of them, the big stuff does matter. I think understanding Wapple and VVR, understanding they're looking for them. The stuff with essentially where Bonnie and Sabo are, we don't really need to know. We already know that, I feel. So I feel he could have gotten some of that. Still not bad, but not the greatest. So a 3 out of a 5. Character. There's a little Vivi, but I'm going to focus on Wapple. So to me, the big thing is Wapple, the fact that essentially he now knows information and he is terrified. He knows he has to do something about it. And so he's going to Morgan's and he's like, hey, here it is. And then Vivi asks about her dad, and he's still like, he at least has a heart because he's trying, I feel like, trying not to tell her what's going on. Give respect for that. Imu and the 5 elders are each so separate. Imu, the fact that he's not willing, he's willing to do what it needs to be to kill people. And the fact that it's almost confirmed now, essentially, that he has been living since the beginning of time. And his name now, we have a name to him. Imu Norono. That is big to me. So character-wise, with that going, it's the fact that his name for story, character-wise, the fact that essentially he's willing to do what needs to be done to eradicate any witnesses, and he's willing to do what needs to be done to get his goals. The 5 elders, they all have a position, and we've all gotten their names. Now we finally have Jay Garcia, Marcos, Topman, Ethan, Sempard. And just added the character, we all knew they still followed Imu. Respect to that. That hasn't changed. And they're a little seen wavering, but they're still going to do what needs to be done. He asked. Dragon, Sabo, Ivankov. Let's start with Dragon. The fact that there was a weapon possibly created, Dragon stood up for him, said, hey, Vegapunk wouldn't intentionally create a weapon. So, respect for that for Dragon. He knows his buddies and he's willing to stand up for them. Respect for that. Sabo, the fact that he acknowledges he didn't kill Cobra, but he still went with it because, again, he figured it was better for the cause. So he puts the cause above his own feelings. Tough, but understandable. Ivankov, man's got history. He knows what's going on. The fact that he's willing to call someone out, it doesn't matter if they're a friend or not, like Vegapunk. It's like, look, if they got a weapon, it's because of Vegapunk. It doesn't matter. He's willing to call him out and then sort out later. Respect that. I think it's Dragon and Ivankov both have their convictions, and I think that's good. But you have to be careful of how far they're willing to go. Same thing with Sabo. I think if at the end of the day he's willing to sacrifice a friend for the greater good, not so much, but he's willing to use their death. Garland Figureland. We finally have the name of God Knight Commander. Definitely think he's related to Shanks. The fact that he was originally the king of the God in Valley. Big deal. So, doesn't matter if you're considered a god or not. If you protect who they consider the scum, anyone else, or you attack essentially another noble to protect the people, you're dead. Figureland will not budge. Respect to that. Terrifying respect. So story, jump in. So character. There's a lot here. I loved the intro. I loved Sabo's Dragon, Ivankov, Figureland. Those four really stood out to me. And then you obviously have Imu and the five elders. There's a lot there, but and even more we have other characters, but these groups of people stand out. So still feel a bit jumbled because we have stuff for Vivi, or we had Wapple I mentioned too. We also have stuff for Morgans, and so there's a lot of characters, short, quick, beginning, and then later on at the end we get the five elders, Imu, Dragon, Ivankov, Sabo, and then Figureland. So 4 out of 5, really good, but beginning with all the character jumble, I feel like we could have done away with that. So 7 out of 10 right now. I will give story a 5 out of 5 right now, no questions asked, even with all the jump, because there's so much for story. The fact that we get confirmation which kingdoms Vivi, Sabo, and Bonnie went to, and then the revolutionaries that happened in those kingdoms. The fact that how Morgan's got his information. CPU0 is now hunting Vivi. Not going to stop, so her and Wapple essentially wanted. And she acknowledges anyone who's looking for me is in trouble. We have names for all 5 elders and their roles. We don't have their devil fruits, but we have roles for them. The fact that Imu is willing to wipe anyone out messes with him. Not going to budge. We almost literally have a 97, 98% confirmation that Imu essentially has immortality. He is one of the original kings. We have his name, Imu. Nerona. The fact that they know this, they could spread this information. And then the God Knights exist. They are ruthless. We don't know how we are. They are ruthless. If you mess with a noble, doesn't matter if you're a noble, if you're defending another person is not noble, you are done. They are ruthless. So, a 13 out of, no. We're 8 out of 10, and then it's 12 out of 15. Oh, I can't count. Forgive me. So it's 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 12 out of 15. Pacing definitely needs some work. 11 parts. If you counted less or more, let me know. To me, with all those little jumbo parts, I probably could have counted one more. I didn't. But based on the little back and forth we saw, there was 3 solid parts at the end, so that's why I still gave it 3. Character, there was still a lot. There was a lot in there, but there was good parts for the main ones we got. And story, a lot propelled it. Cannot complain. This is Jolly Green 1990 review, discussion, and reading of Chapter 10. 86 of One Piece. There's a month and a week break. I will see you then. Bye, YouTube.